Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my good brother from the Fight Game Podcast. It's John LaRocca. How's it going, John?
It is going good, man. I'm still eating ham. How are you from my Thanksgiving feast?
Me too.
I'm still trying to get creative with it. Like, at this point, I made this awesome breakfast casserole though. Like, I'm a big guy, and so I made this breakfast casserole with ham and some hash browns, some of course eggs and some bell peppers. So that's the last thing. And then I finally got smart. I'm like, I'm gonna freeze some of this damn ham before I stick it.
Dude, yeah, real talk. Yeah, so, once again, happy belated Thanksgiving to you as well. I know we already did that last week, but publicly on the podcast, so it's official. But, dude, so last week, I was asking my brother a couple days before Thanksgiving, I was like, do we need to go to the store and get anything? And he's like, nah, I think we're good. And then, Thanksgiving's coming. We're going to have plenty of leftovers throughout the weekend. So, I mean, every night, my brother was trying to be creative. He was making turkey melts and all these different combinations of things. But I went to the fridge earlier, and we still have some ham left. So I'm like, what else can we make some ham and some sort of item? I was even thinking we have some of those ramen noodles, so maybe chop them up and put ham in there. That's one idea I had. I haven't done it yet.
Your brother's a cook, right? He's a chef, right?
Yeah, he's a chef. So. God, how's that work around your house? He's the one that you? So what are you gonna make for dinner? Is that this kind of what you throw out there? Absolutely, literally,
he jumps on it.
Yeah, he goes to the grocery store. He buys his items. He has his list of different recipes. Literally, he has some cookbooks, or he'll check online. He'll make a list of different items for different recipes he's want to do. He buys it, he makes it, and that's how I maintain this handsomely large figure that I have. So
beautiful. Don't worry about it. It's beautiful.
Thank you to my brother Tommy for another awesome Thanksgiving in the books. He did all the work, and it was so good. So
whenever I meet him in person, I'll be probably picking his brain about cooking, because I'm a white belt in the kitchen right now.
Okay.
I'm a white belt. I love cooking though. I love cooking.
Yeah.
If I'm not watching wrestling, I'm watching Food Network. That's why my wife's
nice.
like, I got diners, drives. I'm getting inspiration and stuff. I'm always trying to figure out something new and fun to cook, So
okay, well, one of these days, I got to introduce you to Guy Fieri. He's been on the show. He's been in the studio before.
You know Guy Fieri personally?
Yeah, I mean, from a professional. He knows of the morning show. He's up in Santa Rosa. He's called in a handful of times. He's been in studio before. So, I mean, hopefully he remembers me in person. But
we'll do it. Guy Fieri and be like,
yeah, and then
I show you how to make this thing. I made this thing the other day.
He's probably every single day people are asking me how to make all these different items.
I hope he's a wrestling fan. We can just talk wrestling with the Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Well, I told my brother, about you. Well, I mean, the Fight Game Media and all that stuff, the website. My brother is the biggest boxing fan I know. He is still a purist to this day. That's his number one love, and I was showing him the website and all that stuff, and he was just like, wow, content that he can just start absorbing and taking it all in. But, my brother, we joke, and for everyone listening, running joke, we call him Rain Man. He's just he has I always told him he had just so much useless knowledge in his head. He's like a walking almanac, but that's a good thing. 'Cause he'll know he'll know random stuff. He knows like old school wrestling type things. And so I like keeping him around. So if like I don't know something, I'll be like, Tommy, what was what was the XYZ? What's the answer for that? Or what year was this happen, this event? And he'll tell me. Like, okay, good. Makes me look good. So
that's Tom Caster and his brother Phil Caster. We're talking about him off the air. But we used to say that about him all the time. Like, hey, like he'll like I used to sit hang out with him. He'd like talk about movies and stuff. He'll tell you like who the grip was on the Full Moon Puppet Master 3. Like he'll know like all these people, and it's so funny. Like that we gotta get Phil Caster, your brother, on the newest edition of Jeopardy. And I think we would be take side bets so we can make some extra money whatever they win. Yeah, so
exactly. So, but no, thank you again to everyone for tuning in right now. So please remember, subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and of course, follow us on social media at In The Kliq at gmail.com. A lot of stuff to talk about. John, excited to have you back on again. Like I was telling you off the air, you know, in the time that we got to know each other, you've become like the greatest wrestling mind that I'm like getting to know or that I know of. Like I just respect all of your opinions and whatnot. And first thing I want to talk about was, so for the most part in this pandemic era, SmackDown has been consistently one of the more entertaining shows, some really fun storylines. And the latest one that is grabbing a lot of people's attention is, of course, obviously involving Roman Reigns, his cousin Jay, the Universal Championship. And here we are now. We're at the point where Roman has his cousin, working for him, falling in line. And we've seen Jay kind of like breaking down, almost like, mentally breaking down this past week on SmackDown. And for everyone who watched SmackDown, right, you already know what happened as far as the opening segment. Roman called him out for losing, or Team SmackDown getting swept at Survivor Series. And Jay Snap beat up poor Otis with a chair. And then later on, we saw Daniel Bryan against Sami Zayn for the IC title. Sami Zayn was able to win via countout. Daniel was gone in the backstage area, but then we saw Jay was beating him up. Kevin Owens got involved. Kevin then confronted Jay and Roman backstage. And of course, Roman told his cousin, like, dude, why is he, talking, so he's disrespecting us. And then jump ahead to the main event. We saw Jay versus Kevin, and Jay snapped again, used the chair, DQ. Kevin then got payback, started beating him up with the chair, started calling out Roman Reigns. And I want to get your thoughts on just how that narrative throughout the whole night of SmackDown played out. I really enjoyed just Kevin Owens and how he's starting to get involved with Roman Reigns' business.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I liked the show long storyline, and I think the reason why we brought this up, you're telling me before leading up to the show about, because Vince Russo put a tweet out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
talking about like, how can you put Kevin Owens in this position? It's just after being 50-50 booked, etc. for so long, and now we got to take him serious. So now I watched the segments on the show, and I thought they did a good job of putting some steam on Kevin Owens for this match. Like, I thought everything's great. Roman Reigns' storyline is the best storyline in wrestling right now.
Mm-hmm.
In WWE, I think just in wrestling in general, it's very interesting. The head of the table is really cool thing. The verbal abuse is kind of a little bit much on Jay Russo, Jay Russo. So I'm like, man, it's like he's really getting into he's using him as a pawn, right? And and so he's doing all his dirty work and really getting him to kind of get that edge, but he's really just using him just to do all his dirty work for him. And then I like the thing with Owens when he was freaking out after he got his revenge on Jay, and now he wants Roman. So to me, it picked up interest in that match, right? If it was just a cold match, he's just getting the title shot at the next pay-per-view for no reason. Yeah, it's a little silly, but they did a good job at least putting some interest in that thing. And Owens is good. He's always he's a top guy, and he's good at promos, so he can build interest really quick. So, no, I thought they did a good job on it. And then, Vince Russo, 50-50 booking, yes, there's a lot of 50-50 booking WWE. There's a lot of 50-50 booking everywhere. And 50-50 booking, a lot of people may don't know, is just basically what it is. It's like, wrestler wins 1 week and then wins a match, and the guy he beats that week ends up beating him the next week or down the line, gets his win back, right?
Yeah.
No one really gets over that way, right? It's just everyone's kind of seeing that same level. And yes, Owen's been in the company for how long now? 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years, I'm guessing.
I think so, yeah. At least 5 now. I mean, kind of the beginning of NXT, so yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the main roster, so about 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been champion, non-champion, been in this program, been the highs and lows of a career. And yeah, WWE's the nature of the beast. It's not the territory days. We can't just send Kevin Owens out to Portland for 6 months and then bring him back to New York, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be there. That's just part of it, That's the way wrestling is today. So the thing is, you got to put some steam back on guys, and I thought they did a good job of doing that with Owens in the situation. And I liked it. I thought it was good. At least he was passionate about it. He's yelling right at the camera, like he knows Reigns is watching, right? Because he knows how he's manipulating Jay, and he's like, fight me. Come on. Like, that's good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said all that as far as, so Kevin Owens, his time on the main roster, he's been, heel, he's been babyface more this recent run. And I appreciate he's almost like standing up against the bully. He sees Roman having just a negative relationship with his cousin Jay, and it's affecting Jay's mental well-being. He's taking out Daniel Bryan. And so Kevin Owens is, jumping in, interfering to get involved and stand up to him and be like, dude, like, this is not right. And so and Kevin Owens is already, his presentation, his physique, the way he conducts himself. He's very much like the blue collar man, the everyday working man. I think that's like the vibe I think a lot of people are attracted to him for. And so you see this, how it's being played out. And it's like, I think it's really easy to root for him in this situation. And yeah, the way SmackDown ended, he started calling out Roman, and the TV shot, Roman standing in the backstage and staring at the TV screen, and perfect Kevin Owens is like talking to the camera, talking to Roman, and we're watching this whole interaction. And Paul Heyman, his facial reactions, like, I think in many ways represents the audience at home of like, oh my God, you're pissing off Roman. Like, who does that? Who has the balls to do that? So it's not official at the time of this recording, but it looks like they're going to have a match at TLC later on this month. And so with that being said, over the weekend, a lot of people are kind of reacting to the situation. So as you mentioned, the Vince Russo tweet. So I have it here just to read it for everyone, just to understand what we're coming from. So Vince Russo tweeted, "Some WWE booking problems are so basic and elementary. You can't 50-50 book a wrestler for years and then try to make your audience believe that he has a chance against your top guy. Reigns/Owens is a perfect example of why 50-50 booking doesn't, never has, and never will work." So I immediately saw that. I sent it to you and like, I want to pick your brain. So I think this whole situation is, the whole discussion about 50-50 booking, and then my reaction as well is like, okay, we know Kevin Owens is going to probably be the next opponent for Roman Reigns in the Universal Championship. I'm excited for this because I'm a big fan of Kevin Owens. I'm excited for that matchup. I think it's going to be really fun. But part of me, like I said, as much as I'm excited, the other part of me is I'm already having doubts, and like, there's no way Roman Reigns is losing this match. Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns is too hot. The storyline he's in is too compelling. He's not going to win this. So it just sucks as a wrestling fan. I already have doubts before this match has even been announced. And do you think that's just kind of a problem in pro wrestling today, that me as an adult, as a wrestling fan, I already know kind of the outcome that's going to happen here?
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is like, you and I are older. We've seen we know the formula, at least, we know like who's kind of, we kind of already know who's going to win, who's going to lose for the most part. Of course, we get surprised still here and there, but now that because we're in this wrestling bubble, we're in the wrestling bubble news and knowing future storylines are reported. So we kind of already know that stuff. So it kind of takes our edge off of our excitement off of matches. But what about little Timmy that's 12 years old who's watching this and into every damn thing? Like, to him, he doesn't really care how Owens is booked, but now he's probably excited about Owens is firing up and wants to stand up to Roman Reigns, if that's the case, So we got to think about that way too. I always think about both sides of it. Yeah, sometimes I get, stuck in my wrestling bubble, but I'm like, well, because John, because you kind of know this stuff already, but I've talked to casual fans before, and it's so much fun. I love talking to the casual fan who just loves it all, because they're just so much fun to listen to, because they're just like, yeah, I can't wait for this match. And I'm like, I'm not going to bust their bubble. I'm like, he's probably not going to win, dude. But you know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget this. Like, I was working at his place, and I was like, still a big wrestling fan, of course, always have been. And this customer walks in there on the radio, probably listened to The Bone. I'm sure we're listening to The Bone. And it was like a promotion for Super Brawl, WCW, right? And they're talking about, Hogan and Piper and all these names. It was like 98 or something like that. It was like 99. And the coworker's like, yeah, man, Piper. Yeah, Roddy Piper. Right, this customer. And I'm like, he's old, man. It's all about Chris Benoit. That's that's how you gotta watch Chris Benoit. He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's I got staff. Look at that, Chris Benoit about Roddy Piper. So it's like, you start understanding, just because it's just interesting when you hear the casual audience. And I think sometimes we gotta separate ourselves from the wrestling bubble and think what's the young kids are thinking when they're watching this stuff. And then I know people well, they're not getting the young demographics sliding, but there's a lot of kids that still watch it. I see them out there, and, so it's, look at my daughter. Shit, you could tell Rhea Ripley's not being pushed right. I mean, she loves Rhea Ripley, so and she's 5 years old, right? So, we just gotta think that way. So I know us, yes, we kind of know probably Reigns is not going to lose to Owens, but my hope is always, even I have no idea what the result's going to be, it still give me a good match, and if it's so good, if the match is good enough. Mm-hmm. There'll be a moment where we suspend disbelief, like, oh shoot, maybe they're going to retain the title here. And that's what I love. When they can get me specifically, to get that. Oh shit, are they going to do it? Oh, I just love it because I know that it's working. So I think the match is going to be good because one, Owens is really good. Reigns, I think, is a phenomenal talent. I've always been behind him for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so bad for that guy when he's getting crapped on.
Yeah,
by the hardcore fans who what's your issue with this guy? He's talented. He works hard. Because they're pushing him. They pushed Hulk Hogan down our throats. They pushed John Cena. They pushed The Rock. Whoever's on top is getting pushed. So Daniel Bryan in his run is getting pushed. Oh no, he made it himself. Sure, he got over and they went with it. So why are you still pissed? It's like you're getting worked if you think you're the one that's behind this thing, not WWE. No, they're manipulating the situation. They saw Daniel Bryan get hot and they just went with it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. And you brought up another good point as far as at the end of the day, wrestling in general, WWE specifically, is so hard to book and please the entire fan base because they have such a widespread appeal. I mean, as you said, little kids, teenagers, young adults, middle-aged people, older people who've been fans for probably 40 plus years. So it's so tough to find that balance to book someone that pleases everyone. You can't. And then for me, as you say, I try to take a step back and be okay, I see what's going on here, and maybe I'm not perfectly fine with it, or I'm not totally agreeing what's going on here. But yeah, as you said, there might be a 10-year-old kid watching right now, some boy or girl who's watching and loves Kevin Owens and finally see him get this opportunity kicking ass. And it's I love it. They don't know the last few months of the back and forth matches with maybe Aleister Black, or it's kind of, he had his run against Seth Rollins WrestleMania. I mean, so
they're not overly critiquing like we were. Dude.
Exactly.
That's our job. We're critics and we're giving our opinion. But that's why I love the kids. Those are the best. They're the best. That's the real barometer, I think. So they just enjoy it and they have fun, and God bless them. Because I remember I missed those days.
My God. No, I'm with you. It's I think in many ways, looking through a child's eyes as far as pro wrestling goes, kind of brings me back down to reality, or brings me back down to earth as far as if they're enjoying this, then quit like focusing on, negative tweets, social media, people's reactions, all that toxic stuff, and just enjoy the match for what it is. Take a step back and enjoy that. And so, I get what you're saying. And then, like I said, that's why ultimately we are pro wrestling fans, for all that stuff. And so I guess also, Vince Russo's tweet, what it got to me was, as far as, I get what he's saying. He's being very critical of the situation as far as Kevin Owens. In recent memory, or at least this year, he's been, booked 50-50 as far as like the different previous rivalries that he had, where he'll win one and then lose one, win at a pay-per-view, lose the next pay-per-view. So as far as being a credible opponent for Roman Reigns, I could see that. I understand where he's coming from. But as you just brought up a good point, well, okay, that's a good way to get some momentum for him again. All right, he beats the crap out of Jey Uso this week, and I'm sure for the next few weeks he's going to be going on a good hot streak. So is that the right way as far as building him up to get some momentum going for his match against Roman?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't do the typical, he's going to win a number one contenders match and now he gets a title shot at TLC. Yeah. Like they went the pro wrestling route, really. Like, let's do an angle, let's have a confrontation, have an issue. He has an issue with Jay that leads to Reigns, and he's a good guy to get momentum behind him, because he can cut that promo. It's certain guys you can't put in that position because you need that big, strong promo to get you invested in the story, to get you invested in him. Like, when he cut that promo, he looked straight in the camera. He was passionate. He's slamming the table. Like, I'm the head of the table. Come on, you will come out. Like, he was just like so fired up.
Yeah.
And, so that's what you need, a guy like that. And he's a guy that can always get himself over when he needs to get himself over. So, like I said, no matter if I'm critical of a match or a show or a promotion, at the end of the day, when I watch a show, I'm still just hoping for a really good show and really good matches and entertainment. So, I might think Reigns is winning. Like, I feel it's going to happen, but I'm just wishing for a good show, good match. That's what I hope for every time I watch this stuff, and it puts me in a better mood when I watch wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. So just one last thought about this before we move on to our next topic was, okay, we know Roman is not going to be champion forever, even though I know Vince probably wants that, but this is wrestling. Baby faces eventually defeat heels defeat baby. It's just a continuous cycle. So eventually Roman is going to lose, and that's going to be a big moment, because if he goes on this long, just dominant reign, no pun intended, of being Universal Champion, there's going to be a point where someone has to defeat him. And so I guess my question for you is, now there's different rumors. Is it going to be Big E? Is it going to be, I even saw some people who want Kevin Owens to do it. Well, now Kevin Owens is obviously like first opponent post Jey Uso storyline. So I don't know if he's going to be one unless they come back to that down the road. Drew McIntyre, was kind of had a little thing going with him. So not so much who's going to be the one to beat him, but down the road, eventually, when someone does beat him, how do you build up that credible babyface opponent to win? For example, Drew McIntyre this past year, excuse me. Yeah, wow, I can't believe it's still this year. But so beginning of this year, he won the Royal Rumble, and then that was the beginning of him like building up the road to WrestleMania and becoming this badass babyface. And he eventually beat Brock. And Brock is a perfect example of like a heel monster champion who just dominates all the time. And in some ways that was good or bad. Like, it became to a point where it just wasn't believable someone else was going to beat him. It's like every match he had, he's going to win here. So Roman could almost kind of fall in line to that same tendency. So with that being said, and we even saw, for example, like Kofi the year before, Kofi Mania, his organic match at Elimination Chamber, which set him up for that great moment against Daniel Bryan. So organically, there are ways that babyface can just naturally get over, and that rockets on him. But I guess, hypothetically speaking, what do you think might be the best way to start building up a babyface to eventually take out Roman? Is it just simply winning the Royal Rumble, or is there some other ways that you can kind of start building someone up and be like, that's the guy, that's the one who's going to do it? I cannot wait for that moment.
it's kind of their formula, right? Like the Royal Rumble winners, usually the guy that's going to be in the biggest match, at least with the championship. Big E is a good choice. I think Reigns could lose the title and still be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you can maybe transition to a feud with Reigns versus a babyface Brock Lesnar, because Paul Heyman's with Reigns, and what does he do if that happens, if Brock comes back? You could do something like that post WrestleMania, so you can get Big E over by simply winning the Rumble. That's easy, but it always works though. The Rumble works, especially if it's. And I think people want Big E. I think people want to be behind him. He's been there for a long time, but he's been part of this tag team, the New Day, a successful team, a very popular team. But I think he's always been a guy that you really want to see this guy explode, because he's so talented, he's powerful, has a great personality, can do a great promo. I think I would do the Rumble win, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I would have him in some kind of program leading up to the, Reigns, and do WrestleMania, win clean there. And then do something with Brock, come back post WrestleMania. I don't think you need Brock for WrestleMania, but Brock for a SummerSlam versus Reigns. I would like to see Reigns beat Brock, coming out of it, and then maybe to see how Big E does as champion. Now, here's the thing. You got to follow up with Big E after he won the title. Kofi won the title, has a big moment. They really didn't do much with him. He didn't really have a strong programs.
Yeah.
I know he wrestled Daniel Bryan. They had good matches, but
Randy Orton, I remember as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good match. I don't know. They just need to have some kind of momentum past. It's all about the follow-up. When you give a guy a title, it's all about the follow-up. Who's next? Who's going to keep that momentum going for them? Getting a peaking guy to win titles, not as hard as actually keeping the momentum going after. Like, Sting, who wins the title in 90, like the great build, he chases Flair, wins the belt, and then he had no data, they had no challenge ready. They had, they created a guy, Black Scorpion, who they didn't know who it was going to be for a long time.
Yes.
Sid Vicious was the guy, a good guy for him to wrestle, but he was overshadowed by the Black Scorpion stuff. So, you have to have some kind of plan and follow up with Big E if he wins the title. Well, yeah, I think you can make him hot enough to where that's a big WrestleMania main event. Or you can go back to him versus Drew and do a title for title thing too in WrestleMania. Or save it for next year when, but then how do you keep Drew, still fresh? Because he needs new opponents too. How many times can we see the same Dolph Ziggler get a just dust off and get on a title shot? He's different. Dolph is different than Owens. Dolph has a harder time to get people invested in, oh man, he's getting a title shot here. We've seen him because he's been there for so long. Where Owens has been there for a long time, but he has a great promo ability to really get himself over and fired up and get you fired up. So yeah, I know it's a tricky thing. Just wrestling in general now, it's a hard thing to book now because they don't go anywhere. They're still there. They can go to Raw, but then they're still sometimes featured on SmackDown or still kind of interact. It's a tough. Writing for the WWE is a tough gig, and being creative. But I would still do it though.
Yeah,
give me a shot. Though. I don't care. I'll take it.
I can only imagine. Yeah, no.
Whatever.
Yeah, no. You brought up a lot of good points there. So yeah, at the end of the day, a Royal Rumble win is always a great way to jumpstart someone's big singles push. So with that being said, if Big E is going to be the one, for example, I just hope maybe month of December start doing stuff with him. I know he's been doing a lot of backstage segments on SmackDown recently. He hasn't had a lot of matches. I think
it looks like
Sami Zayn might be something for him to start working with because him and Sami had a little interaction this week on SmackDown, and he even referenced a 5 count, which I thought was cool. That was great, Colin.
That'd be a great thing. He wins the Intercontinental title at the Rumble, right? They build up the storyline where Big E in the one of the opening matches wins the Intercontinental title at the Rumble, and you think, oh man, that's his moment, the Intercontinental title, yay! But then he gets in the Rumble, and now he's won the Final Four. Then you're like, okay, he's probably gonna go out. It's gonna be these. Oh shit! Now it's Big E and someone really good. I'd put him with a guy that can really go, like an AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Someone of that caliber that's gonna be able to go 10 extra minutes in the Rumble. Make it remember, I know there were two different personalities and megastars was Shawn Michaels Undertaker, but they had like a good like full match as the final two.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Rumble sometimes needs that, like two
A
guys
match.
are just, a match with the match
Within a
kinda
match.
ended.
Yeah.
And all the teasing eliminations, etc., and like make it like, wow, man, that was what a finale, right?
Yeah.
I think that would also help Big E get over, not only win the Intercontinental title at the Rumble, then he wins the Rumble. Now he's a champion. Then you have him as the Intercontinental versus Reigns as the champion. It could be a freaking title for title situation. Like make the stakes even higher, and then have him win both. And be like sit there in the middle of the ring with both titles, and streamers, all the fun stuff coming out. All the babyface, the New Day come out. That they keep them separate until then.
Yeah.
For his big celebration, here comes Kofi. Here comes Xavier.
Yeah.
They're all hugging and crying, and it's a great moment. Like shit. I like this already.
I know. It's like I'm getting teary. I just think of that potential moment because
you can do so much. That'd be that. Yeah, I'm on the Big E train now. Big E.
Yeah.
Big E. WrestleMania.
I know. Like, well, for example, I was lucky enough to be in Brooklyn, or it was where the New York Giants play in New Jersey for WrestleMania last year, and to watch Kofi win, defeat Daniel Bryan, the crowd erupted, and just how that energy was so amazing. And if they're able to somehow replicate that with Big E, that can be really awesome and such a powerful moment for him as well. And where he's his journey in WWE from FCW, NXT to WWE itself. So I'm all for that. So yeah, I think that's something we can kind of keep our eyes on over the coming months. Is Reigns, we know, is probably going to dominate for a long time. Eventually, he's going to have to lose. So are they going to properly book someone that is credible, believable? And when that match does happen, it's going to have some question marks of like, I don't know who's going to win this one. It's tough to predict here. So looking forward to all that stuff. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to TLC. I'm looking forward. I can't believe Royal Rumble is going to be here before we know it. And so
that's going to be a no fans Royal Rumble. I hope they figure something out before then.
Yeah, there's the latest rumors is hopefully by early January they want to have a decision made if Wrestle Votes was tweeting out early if you have a crowd or some partial crowd there. Listen, people, if you want fans there, wear your mask. Let's get this whole pandemic under control. So I'll get off my soapbox now. But another thing I want to talk about real quick, and this is something you and I were going back with earlier today. So I guess Tony Khan did a media call today promoting Winter is Coming, AEW Dynamite show happening tomorrow night on TNT. And one of the big takeaways, he covered a lot of topics, but the big takeaway was he just flat out said Jon Moxley will not defend the IWGP US title at Wrestle Kingdom in January. So a lot of people were speculating, oh man, that sucks. Or how can he do that? Just internet, people tweeting, a lot of people going back and forth. And that's one thing I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. He is IWGP US champion. Not only is the AEW world champion, he also has this other title. And theoretically, Wrestle Kingdom is WrestleMania for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And you would think that title will be defended there. And I think a lot of people were already speculating, oh, he's probably going to lose to Kenny Omega this Wednesday, drop the title, quarantine for a couple weeks, head to Japan, drop the title, the IWGP US title to Kenta at Wrestle Kingdom, then come back, quarantine for a couple weeks, and then be back on Dynamite. So you and I had this little exchange. We saw some people tweeting about it and stuff, and I just tweeted at you. I think, when Tony Khan said that, I was like, it's a work, brother. It's like Tony Khan, I think he's doing his best as the owner of AEW, trying to maintain some kayfabe and not throwing, I think he's trying to mislead some people on purpose. That's my guess, is here just speculating. I threw this on Twitter to you. I said, would it be awesome if it was, it's one big work and Kenta was the one who really attacked Jon Moxley a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, and it's going to set up their match for Wrestle Kingdom, and then will that officially acknowledge a working relationship between New Japan and AEW? So yeah, kind of your whole thoughts on just Moxley as far as Tony Khan saying in his media call that he will not defend the title at Wrestle Kingdom.
I could see Tony Khan kind of putting out there so he doesn't want his result kind of already given away. If Omega would beat him tomorrow or whatever, So I could see that, but I like your idea of Kenta attacking. Would it be great if he actually if it stuck for over more than just a week, because the next week, last week came out, he's attacking a Kenny Omega, like he's fine, like that backstage attack wasn't that vicious. So
yeah,
I don't know if I want to put Kenta in that light of not really
doing a good job,
doing a good job, right? I say just screw it, take the belt off him, give it to Kenta, who already won a tournament, and just be done with it, just because I like that. I think they have something cool going with that New Japan Strong show. And I think that title needs to be there on that show as their goal instead of just Kenta defending the briefcase all the time. So, I mean, if they can't make it work, I just say, strip them and maybe have Kenta versus the number one contender guy or something like that at the Dome or for the vacant title. I mean, people will be disappointed, but I think people will be over it. I don't think people in Japan really care because the only guy they really do care about is Kenny Omega. That would be a big deal for Japanese fans. The Bucks and the Cody, they were part of it, but they weren't as important to the New Japan fans.
Yeah,
if you talk to New Japan fans, the Japanese fans, it's Omega because they feel he is part of them. But Bucks and Cody, they're like, and Paige, they're like, oh yeah, they're cool too. And I think John Moxley might be the same way, So I think they would be over it, and it wouldn't lose the credibility of the title. I think Kenta would be a great champion, and I hope my buddy Jeff Cobb wins it one day. That'd be cool. Yeah. So,
well,
yeah, that's what I would do. I'd be frustrated if you say screw it, and we'll just do that.
I mean, for me, I'm not so like you. To me, it's not a big deal if they strip it from him because I think for most people, take a step back. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Things are not playing out, I think, how people obviously want it to play out. So at the end of the day, John Moxley's bread and butter is AEW. He's the world champion. Not to devalue the U.S. championship, but that's like his second option, tier, baby, whatever you want to call it. So I think if he was to drop that, it's not the end of the world. We know it's a pandemic. I think people can suspend, any frustration and just realize, listen, we're in a pandemic. Certain storylines are not going to play out how I think people intended. It's okay. Like, let's just strip it off him, start fresh, start over. And as you say, yeah, maybe defend it. It can really become the number one title for New Japan Strong down in Southern California. Just start over, fresh start down there. That's fine by me. I'm not going to get, oh my God, he did not properly lose it or drop it. Like, come on, people.
Or when this pandemic hopefully ends very soon, hopefully, praying.
Yeah.
Then once travel's okay and people start traveling again, you have him come back to challenge for the title he never lost. Now you have a bona fide match and a reason to have it. Say it's Kenta or whoever, and then they beat him, and so now the lineage is back to normal. Now there's no issue because whoever the champion is beat Moxley, the former champion who was stripped and never lost it. So just gotta wait, be patient for that when that happens. Because Moxley has the contract where he can do what he wants. Like he could take other bookings, as long as it doesn't conflict with AEW's bookings.
Yeah, I mean, and they can do course correction down the road. It's wrestling. It's the great thing. You can rewrite stuff and adjust accordingly. I mean, that's the great thing about wrestling is like you can write yourself out of something. Like for example, on a complete side note, like Cody can never challenge for the world title ever again. Okay, he says that, but I was like, I always say like a year from now, he can say, I'll put up my EVP title on the line. For if I lose that, then I'm no longer in charge and I can never fight for the title. I mean, so yeah, there's always some stakes you can create to redo previous stipulations. So
in my experience of booking, I've had many times where like I have things set, ready to go. Day of the show, certain guy doesn't show up. Not because no shows or like a car broke down, I got sick, a family member dies, whatever. And you just gotta change it up. And sometimes that like rush of like, okay, I gotta figure this out. Like sometimes better things can happen than what you already had planned. Like,
Yeah.
So just like, for example, like when I started Premier Wrestling, Timmy Thatcher was my number one champ. He's gonna be the champion, right? And he hurt his back like the week of the show. He's like, dude, I can't do it, but I'll be there. So and I'm like, yeah, if you could be there and show the fans that you showed up. I appreciate that and everything. And he did did the interview, talked about his back injury. And the funniest thing, like, because Dave Dutra is one of my really good friends, and one of the things I told him when I started Premiere, I was like, you'll never win the title because I don't want people saying, oh, you got the belt because you're just good friends with LaRocca, right? And so, but that night, because of what happened, I had the best guy at that time was Dave Dutra, so I went with Dave Dutra, but then I quickly turned it to Jeff Cobb, which ended up being Jeff Cobb was supposed to have this long chase to get the title from Tim, ended up being this long, so he wins the belt quickly and becomes this long defending champion, which got over, which led to JR Kratos beating him, who at the time wasn't going to be the guy that beats Jeff. It was going to be Oliver John, but Oliver John got a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
But then JR won it, and I said, shit, I'm going to keep pushing JR. So JR went on a long run, and so he had a really good title run. It just worked out that way because, you just got to things happen, and, like, down the line, it'll work out for the better probably. And just like Moxley, sure, you strip him the title, you give it to Kenta, whoever, you have a ready-made match sometime down the line when hopefully there's going to be a bigger crowd there that can enjoy it.
Yeah, even on a side note, I believe even more recently, like for you, I'm guessing probably an APW, I forgot what it was. I think it was like a tag team match was supposed to happen, but something happened, but it was advertised, and then I showed up, and then like I think the main event turned into like a fatal 4-way or something. I don't remember specific.
I remember that. Yeah.
I don't remember specific people, but I remember. I assume for you guys, probably like trying to come up with, okay, how can we adjust based on who's here right now? So yeah, props to you guys for who are doing that just to please
all
us.
The time, especially on the indie level. At it's like, so for people freaking out about something, shit just happens.
Yeah,
but so you can, like I said, always course correct and always do something else, and it probably maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, so like for me, and like I said, I think the big thing is for me, Tony Khan, as much as a fan he is of pro wrestling, when I read those comments, I'm like, of course he has to say that. You think he's going to say, yeah, he's going to be there. And so then everyone's going to, as you said, it's probably just, everyone's going to assume, oh, he's going to lose to Kenny Omega this Wednesday. No, yeah, kind of create some surprise. It's wrestling, man. Like, you don't believe everything you say, like, suspend your disbelief and just go what they're saying and then see how it plays out. I'm excited for tomorrow night for Winter is Coming. It's going to be, apparently TNT's letting them have an overrun. It's going to be a 60-minute match. And so, it's a stacked card already. And so we'll see how long they go for.
I wonder if I know Omega does long matches in the past. Obviously, with the Okada match. Okada match. I wonder if Moxley could go that long. And keep it interesting.
I mean, they probably can go at least 30, 40.
I'm sure they're going 25 plus. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping it's a good match. I hope this is the match that's really going to have that great Moxley match. I think the matches he had that were really good, I liked, were all New Japan, but that was with Minoru Suzuki and Ishii, etc. So I want to see him have that match in AEW because for me personally, I haven't seen that big, great John Moxley match yet in AEW. Maybe we'll get tomorrow.
Yeah, even his Archer match I think was better in New Japan than the one on.
Definitely was.
Yeah, it was all out. Or wait, was it All Out? Did they wrestle that? Or no, sorry, that was
TV, the anniversary show.
Yeah. Man, so much.
October 14th.
Yeah. That's right. So, like I said, I read the comments. I didn't get like super bummed out because I'm like, as you said, we're older. We've seen enough. Just all right. Okay, cool. You saying that? Cool. All right. Thanks, Tony, for saying that. But I'm still gonna watch and we'll react to that. And there's ways they can work around it. So I'm not gonna.
I laughed at a conference for Tony Khan AEW winners when people are asking about New Japan questions. Is Moxley going to be at New Japan? Like, who's that person?
He's probably like,
oh god. I really think everyone's like, some people are like, they need to work together. They need to be together. You know what? I think New Japan's fine on their own. I don't think they necessarily need AEW. I think they need it maybe for the U.S. market a little bit, but I think if they book the U.S. market correctly, if they do the smaller shows first with the small, and then, but make sure you still bring in some stars to kind of build up. Like, don't leave the Tanahashis and Okadas always in Japan. Like, every once in a while, bring them out here for the bigger U.S. shows and kind of keep the momentum there. And obviously, finding a TV outlet is must.
Yeah.
So, I think they can. I think they'll find something.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, no matter what. I mean, Wrestle King. Oh, one last thing. I mean, I forgot who was it. I don't know, was it my buddy Alonzo? Oh, I'm trying to remember, but someone said, what happened if hypothetically, because Kenta is still based in the U.S., I believe, and Moxley obviously in the U.S., could they have their match at where New Japan Strong holds their shows, and maybe they can film it, whatever, and then it can just be inserted into Wrestle Kingdom's show? Not like a cinematic match per se, but something that's pre-taped, that's part of the show. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
or they could just air it down the line, like build up a big New Japan Strong show, make people want to check that out. Get more people to buy into the streaming service to see that match. Maybe there'll be people. I honestly, I see, as a booker, I see a lot of benefit in stripping him the title and putting it on Kenta, because Kenta can always say he's the greatest, and that Moxley ducked him. Yeah. Like, he was scared of me because he knew I was kick his head off and all this stuff. He could always talk. Anytime Moxley comes up, or his credibility of being a champion, he'd be like, I would have beat him if we wrestled, but he's scared of me. That's why we had to strip him, because he never wanted to come here and fight me, whatever, right? And then now you'd always kind of throw those little nuggets out there for 6 to whatever months, whatever, till we finally get the pandemic over. Then Moxley, because man, I heard all the shit you talked, buddy. I heard all the shit coming from my belt. I'm gonna beat your ass, blah blah blah. And then like perfect, right? Like God, that storyline writes itself if you did it that way.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff to look forward to.
Right, so we got Big E versus Reigns at WrestleMania. We got the Moxley and Kenta down in June of 2021.
Dude, you and I, let's go. Let's take over the wrestling world and
we got some big match in 2021. We got some big matches.
People listen right now. Another topic I want to get into, and this one, I don't see a lot of other outlets talk about this, which is fine. And this is something that I personally been just keeping my eye on, and I've really been kind of just curious to see how this has been playing out. So listen, we know NXT, they occasionally get some good factions going. Undisputed Era has been doing their thing for a couple years now. So, and I kind of thought of this just after watching last week's episode of NXT. We saw another like backstage pre-tape segment with Legado del Fantasma. I gotta get my enunciation in there. Yeah. So we saw Santos Escobar, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde backstage, and just talking amongst themselves. I love when they kind of do like these little sit downs, segments, talking to each other and kind of laying out their strategy to kind of just dominate NXT. And when I see that, it gets me going, because like they were a little bit off TV for a while recently, but it's like I think they're starting to kind of jumpstart them again as a faction, which I'm excited for. So my initial just question for you is, do you think Legado del Fantasma can be the next big faction in NXT? And I say that kind of cautiously because, listen, Undisputed Era is still there. They're doing their thing. They're going to be in War Games. They're back on TV. So I kind of worried they're going to be on the back burner for a bit. But do you think eventually they can be the next best thing to kind of run the show for NXT?
Well, first of all, anything's possible. But I think they have a little bit of a. I mean, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza are really good, but I don't know if they're the level of like Roderick Strong or Kyle O'Reilly. I think it could be a great. I think Santos Escobar is a super talented guy. I think what stands out more than anything is his personality. I think his wrestling. I think he still has that lucha in him a little bit. So I think once he starts to learn the American style more, I mean, he can do it. But I mean, there's certain things in his game I think he really needs to work on. But his presence, like the way he carries himself during promos, he feels like a star. I think once he gets away from the cruiserweight title, which they do a good job of giving it credibility. I'm not saying it's a bad championship to have, but I think he needs to get if he can move on to the North American title. If Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza can be like a hell of a workhorse tag team in the tag team titles, because they can have really good matches. Raul Mendoza's like freaking super talented. He's like under the radar. Like people it's like the people in the business know like this guy's really good. I think the fans kind of overlook him, but like that guy can freaking go. And there's like people wonder like, why does he have a contract? Because he can bust his ass and go, and you need guys like that on the card, right? Like if I was booking, like Raul Mendoza will always have a spot on my card, right? Yeah. So he'll go out there and have a good match. And I think I would love to see them with the tag titles. I would love to see them elevated. I think right now it's okay where they're at now. I think you can slowly move them. I mean, maybe not in 2021, but I think maybe 2022 you can definitely look at them moving up. Because I think Santos Escobar, it's all about, you got Adam Cole, right? It all starts with him, right? Because he's such a phenomenal performer. I think Escobar could get there as well because he has that in him, the way he carries himself. And I think he can be that big guy, but you got to have like slow steps with him. Like, don't try to rush it now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 2022, early 2022, you start, moving him out of that cruiserweight division. Maybe at the end of this, at the end of the fall of 2021, you start moving him out of that cruiserweight division and kind of start building him up towards a bigger championship. But yeah, I think so because they're all three guys really talented. I'd say add to their act, maybe not a fourth person, but maybe like a hot valet manager or business or just a manager, some kind of businessman. I know Santos Escobar could do like great promo. He doesn't really need someone to talk for him, but he needs some. It's like they're like a really good salad, right? They have a lot of good salad. They have great tomatoes. They have great onions. But like, dude, like let's throw some crunch on it. Let's throw some croutons, right?
Yeah.
So like, give me like a hot Latina that can kind of eye catch you, interfere. Give me a just jacked up dude bodyguard for Santos Escobar, right? Just to be kind of like his muscle who doesn't wrestle but interferes. Like once you start adding to the group, then I think they can start moving up higher. I think he adds pieces to me. Maybe a fourth member that can wrestle. Maybe that big guy. Maybe it's like a Batista potential. Like you see like a potential in him like a Batista.
Yeah.
Where he can break out and be a monster, and he can feud with Santos and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there. But, I mean, they're a great group, and I think they have great potential, and I think it's out of the box to say, hey, man, could these guys be a top act? Yeah, hell yeah. They're all three talented guys.
That's what I was. Sorry, I was looking up. I was just trying to think of who could that be. As a female like valet personality.
Well, she's Brazilian, but there's Rita Hayes is there. She's a super. I mean, she's a legit black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu girl that's there, but she's still very young. She was the zombie that did the spot with Cameron Grimes in the match with.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, she's gorgeous, and then she's like a legit badass though. Like
Okay.
So
good point.
Maybe that would be good for her to kind of get her feet wet with like being a valet, and then when she's ready to wrestle, then she can get involved.
I was just thinking,
obviously Selena Vega would have been great because
I was just looking up on MLW, Selena De La Renta. I mean, I don't know too much about her. I know.
Oh yeah, she'd be great. And then WWE wants her. They've been hiring her for a long time, but she has a contract in MLW. I don't know how long it is.
So that's someone I thought like. Was it Cornette or someone said like he sees like a lot of Sunny in her, if I remember correctly?
Oh, she's great. She's one of the highlights of MLW.
Yeah, so I just I was like, oh my god, she would be perfect in that role. So yeah, like because the reason I kind of started thinking about this faction, well, one, I mean, Undisputed Era for the longest time has been rumored they're going to eventually get called up to Raw or SmackDown. It hasn't happened yet. Good or bad, I mean, mostly good that they stayed on NXT for many reasons. And with that being said, I kind of wonder if Escobar and company, I wonder if their push has been kind of put back a little bit because it's like they got to wait for Undisputed Era to clear out before they can slide into that spot. So, but then it sounds like, they're kind of still in a good spot as far as just still kind of growing organically and being patient.
Yeah, and they're kind of split between two shows, right? Because you got 205 Live that they still have, so they're part of that. Obviously, because he's the 205 champion. Mm-hmm. There's a program in the future for him once this pandemic ends with Jordan Devlin and UK because he is the cruiserweight champion, or is the rightful owner technically. So there's issues there, and they could have a great match when they finally set up because Jordan Devlin's like one of the best in the world. I mean, he's a super talented guy. They can tease that,
Yeah, well, I was just thinking because Jordan finally made his big return on NXT UK recently, and I'm the champion. He's like vocal. That's his like motivation. Yeah. I'm the NXT Cruiserweight champion. So I don't know if they'll do another Worlds Collide show in the near future.
I hope so. Well, I think from what I understand, Worlds Collide was supposed to be a yearly thing.
Yeah.
They tested it out at whether it was WrestleMania. They tested it out
In Brooklyn. I was at Access and I'm walking. I see them filming the matches there, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And it was like on the network.
I need to go back and watch those shows, but like when I found out that Worlds Collide is going to be its own special event on the network, and I saw shit NXT UK versus NXT. Holy shit, man! Those are two talented rosters. I was like extremely excited, and I love that show. That show was freaking awesome, man.
Yeah,
dude, you were on such a roll, dude. Like wrestling was on a good roll before this pandemic. Damn you, pandemic! Like
I know,
we had a good Royal Rumble. NXT Takeover Seattle was freaking off the hook. That was like one of their best shows they ever had. I can't be said off the hook. I'm old. Sorry, folks. And Wins World Collide was really good. And NXT UK Takeover was really good.
I get what you're saying. Like Worlds Collide, I love that. I love that it was set up and presented like a takeover vibe. Even though it wasn't officially like a takeover show, it had the same feeling and atmosphere, and you brought the two rosters together. I loved all that. And then, so yeah, for Jordan and Escobar, that's a natural storyline right there. Champion versus champion. Who's the real official NXT Cruiserweight champion? I guess for me, like my whole motivation for really starting to get emotionally caught up with Escobar and what they're doing is, and this is a little bit of a long shot, a stretch, and I was telling this before we recorded tonight. So, look at the Bullet Club as an example, how they form, Finn Balor, aka Prince Devitt. He formed Bullet Club after winning the IWGP, junior heavyweight champ. Is it junior or lightweight? I'm getting my weight. Junior heavyweight championship.
Keep up with all these weight classes.
And so he won that and started forming, the faction stuff. And so I was like, oh, I kind of see similarities as far as, okay, Escobar, he's not winning like the main title yet, but he's winning something, as far as the Cruiserweight Championship, and he starts building around him. So I don't know. I just, like you said, it's a stretch a little bit, but that's how I kind of loosely made the comparison together. And that's what I was kind of hoping for. We'll see something. But I like what you said. I think eventually he's going to have to drop that, because I think he is pretty much dominating everyone in that division. Eventually he should drop it. And then, maybe North American Championship. And then the other two guys can win the tag titles. They have all the gold, as far as amongst the three of them. Then add another member, maybe, a big hoss of some sort, or a female valet. So I like all those possibilities, and I think that could be some really fun progression for them at the beginning part of 2021. So I'm all for it. But I have high hopes for them. I'm excited for them. I like factions, and when they're done right, they're super awesome to watch and keep everything entertaining. So all that good stuff. So let's see. I'm looking at the time right now. I know we're going kind of long. I know we maybe have one more point, but maybe just asking you on the podcast, maybe should we hold off on that to maybe next week or something? And kind of
we'll get another week to play out. But I remember we're frustrated about it, but we'll let us see how it goes next week, and if I'm still frustrated or not.
No, actually, that's a good point. We'll just a little teaser, some Tony Storm discussion, and we can maybe save that post War Games and see how that plays out. And maybe, as you said, maybe our thoughts will change a little bit post War Games, and we kind of explain where we're coming from with all this. So a lot of fun tonight recording with you, John. I kind of wanted I was thinking, this almost feels like In The Kliq, like after dark, because you and I are recording it a little bit later at night.
Yeah, I know. I apologize. That's my fault.
No, it's all good. It's just, I enjoy the vibe. It's like you and I, ranting and raving over wrestling on a Tuesday night. It's all good. So, on that note, let's start wrapping things up. So, John, please tell all the Kliqsters out there, how can they follow you and all the good stuff that you're a part of right now?
You can follow me on Twitter at LaRoccaJL. That's LaRoccajL. And also you can follow our Fight Game Podcast Twitter page, Fight Game Media, at Fight Game Media. Go to fightgamemedia.com for all our great content of not just wrestling news, but MMA, boxing, amateur wrestling, even some pop culture fun we're going to add to that. And find us on our podcast on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere you get podcasts. So Garrett Gonzalez and I have a really fun show. We unlike Baby Hugh and I, we're hugging, we're high fiving. Sometimes Garrett will be stubborn about something, and I'll be stubborn about something, and we'll argue for a good 20 minutes. And people seem to really enjoy us, but doing that. But But yeah, I have a lot of fun recording that show, of course, and then a lot of fun recording here and getting to know the Kliqsters out there. Thanks for welcoming me to the Kliq and curtain call. No curtain calls. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be here for a long time. So yeah. So check out Fight Game Media. Check out what we have. I think you'll really enjoy the content we put out there.
Awesome. And Baby Huey here. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. And please, subscribe to the podcast. Like I said, top of the show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Those are like the big 3 platforms I see everyone talking about, but we're on a bunch of other platforms as well. And if we're missing one, email me inthekliq@gmail.com. Let me know. And please rate, comment, share the podcast. We like that organic. Speaking of organic getting over, we love all the support we can get, and just please spread the word. Hopefully this coming week, I'm going to start getting some more stuff on our YouTube page. So if you want to subscribe there, be one of the first ones to get those notifications. And I'm trying to think anything else. Yeah, please subscribe. Follow us over at 1077thebone.com, where I put all these episodes at as well. Forward promoting, I'm going to be recording an interview with Montez Ford, one half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions from the Street Profits. Looking forward to that. And so just if you subscribe, then you'll get the alerts when that interview drops. And a lot of good stuff, man. A lot of stuff to talk about. We got Dynamite coming up this week, War Games this weekend. So a lot of fun stuff in pro wrestling for the month of December. So on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.